It's intelligent discourse.
It's fine. I just
you were wrong. Normally, no one can ever hear Eric.
I'm usually accused of being too quiet.
Right.
I think I'm just gonna make a sound effect of me going, "This doesn't belong here."
I like that.
Every time you curse.
Oh my gosh! I want to call Rainbow in the Dark now. Laughter in the dark. Like laughter in the dark.
Are you done?
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to the Jack of the Shadows podcast, and congratulations, you have made it to past the halfway point of book 1 and the book 1 of the Wheel of Time Chronicles. Last week we covered chapters 19 through 24, and this week we're going to cover chapters 25 through 30. We will start this week with a quick summary and then head straight into our favorite moment of the week. Next, we will do a little Tinker Talk, followed by a conversation of Wolf and Man, and then we will do some Cloak and Dagger, followed by a little In Dreams, then wrap it up with our favorite Coplin of the week, Who Leveled Up, and Happy Trails.
I'm just excited because we're throwing Cloak and Dagger in there, and that's not only one of my favorite comic series and now that the TV show, but it's also one of my favorite obscure movies. I'm just
by the
put
way,
that out there.
I'm Adam. That's Eric. And that's Dave.
That's
Say
me.
hello.
I'm Dave. That's Adam. That's Eric.
Yeah.
That's why there are 3 of us.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, quick summary of what we've covered this week.
3 maidens.
What was that?
All in a row. So these chapters survey the journeys of our separate
We've
company.
gone from
It takes Perrin, Egwene, and Elias from the Tinkers to the White Cloaks, and Rand and Matt from the Spray to fleeing from a Fade in Whitebridge.
Run away.
Down to Camelin, or actually up to Camelin on the Camelin Road. It also finds Moiraine, Lan, and Nynaeve arriving in Whitebridge, where Nynaeve senses, or Moiraine, some woman with magical powers.
One of the clan.
There's a lady.
A lady!
She's a
sensing Rand and Matt's presence and the fact that they experience some heightened sense of fear. And then she goes, all right, I'm going to leave those guys alone and head north to find the people who have the coin. So she heads north to find Perrin, but she doesn't obviously know who she's chasing after there. So that is our quick view from Dragonmount. Let's talk about what our favorite moments of the week were. We'll start with Adam.
No, we won't. I started last week. We're starting with someone else.
I thought we were going to just keep that trend going.
Why does that matter?
He's the man from afar.
Because I want to switch it up.
What happened?
He's a man from
what
Uncle.
happened to our improvisational yes and idea?
All right. Well, I'll just grab the reins and go with this since Adam is copping out.
Adam is being a terrible improv partner.
My favorite moment is it's kind of strange just because it's when Elias talks to Perrin. Perrin has struggled with this decision that he had, where he came to the conclusion that if the going got really rough with the Ravens, that he would do what he had to do and kill Egwene rather than having her get eaten alive, pecked alive, which is obviously a really difficult choice.
Mercy killings.
Yeah.
That's my favorite moment
mercy
too.
Killings. Yeah, exactly.
Who doesn't love mercy killings?
Yeah. So, and obviously he's struggling with this, and he feels like a complete jerk, and he's very much tormented by it, and doing a lot of soul searching about it. And Elias just calls him to task and says, "Hey, which would you rather have, or which do you think she would rather have? Would she rather be pecked alive or one swift blow from you?" And he just kind of slaps Perrin across the head with the reality of stop being such a wussy boy and just accept who you are and accept the responsibility of being that friend. And I think it's just a cool moment and kind of a cool awakening moment, I hope, for Perrin, because we, so far to this point, we kind of complain about Perrin, being so Magoo. He's so Magoo. And
to coin a phrase.
Yeah.
Magoo.
He really is, though. And I think, I hope the turning point of him, avenging Hopper and going crazy in berserk mode there and taking out the two White Cloaks. I'm hoping that we see continued, more testosterone from Perrin.
It's like what we were talking about last week, and the fact that he discovers that he can be a wolf and man.
Right.
And,
Shape shift. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to say that every time we do that. I think, but that was kind of my moment. I just thought it was a cool, and he needed that. Like Perrin needed someone to smack him up the side of the head and just be like, dude, grow a pair. Let's do this. And I hope this is that moment going forward. Yeah.
Your favorite moment has a lot of strings in its musical score.
Well,
lots of strings.
I am a musician, so
in the background.
It does have
not guitar strings, violin strings.
There might be guitar strings. It might be a guitar playing through a synth modulator. You don't know.
No, I think there's some harp.
Yeah,
there's some lute.
There might be a harp, but there is a whole lot of violin and viola strings.
Hey, there's the one-toothed wolf going at it too. So.
Oh yeah.
So that's my moment.
Okay.
So now Adam will actually go now.
That's your one shining moment.
Yes.
This Adam's magic moment.
Yeah.
This is my magic moment.
So different and so new.
Okay, now go.
Yeah. So mine is Tom talking to Matt and Rand, and Rand basically asks him, why on earth are you coming with us?
Get away from me, old man.
and Matt's been asking him that a lot too.
Yeah, that's true.
What is up with
That's
you?
a whole other ordeal, though.
Yeah.
So they're like, why on earth are you doing this? And he says, I had a nephew, Owen. He got in trouble with the Aes Sedai, amongst other things.
He got in trouble with the law.
And then he just throws off. You could say the Aes Sedai killed him. So it makes sense why he's been looking sideways.
No big deal.
At Aes Sedai this entire time. Yeah, and it's just a lot of history that is kind of. It's a lot of history in one sentence that's thrown at you that, oh my gosh, okay, so Tom has been involved with this before. And then he goes off, and first of all, they see him down the street, and they think that
he's a fade.
He might be a fade.
Right.
And he's like, oh, well, good. If you don't recognize me, then that's
Right.
great.
Apparently they're colorblind like me and can't tell brown from black.
Now that I've given each of you a heart attack, it's me.
Yeah, so he goes off and he does whatever, and then they're trying to. It's me.
Right. It was me.
It was me.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. So there's
I farted in
the alleyway. The alleyway.
That's where they are.
He who smelt
I
it.
like the
Right.
alleyway.
That's where they are. They're in the alleyway. They're in the alley after
Oh,
they've
that
crawled out of the
followed
window
me?
of the
That
inn.
followed
That
me
shady inn.
That was a creeper. Yeah. So so we don't know what happened to Tom.
And then once again, no big deal. He
just
attacks a fade. No big deal.
NBD.
Yeah, I don't think anyone says that. No big deal.
You were saying something, David. You were bringing
I would just say it's no big deal. Tom just attacks a fade. Just in light of this whole scene, he drops his bomb about, the Aes Sedai, and then I'm just gonna go attack his fade all by myself. No big deal.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Or Eric likes to say NBD.
A warder and an Aes Sedai had
a tough time
with them on their own. Yeah,
I want to see these knife flourishes he does. I think that would be
whatever.
really cool.
Well, what is so?
I lost my good knives.
So
those were my best knives.
He attacks the Murdral, and there's that blue flash.
It's just
What is that?
it's his sword. Because you see instances of that with Lan and
I have no idea.
when Lan
Tom
is fighting the
doesn't have a
fade.
sword.
No, when Lan is fighting the fade earlier in
It's
the
the
books,
fade sword.
it's a fade sword
Oh, it's the
clashing
Murdral
against.
sword.
It's a
Okay.
power rot sword or
Okay.
a Thakandar sword.
Okay.
Oh, Thakandar.
Rare
Yeah,
names. That's really good.
Thakandar you.
That's just fun to say.
Yeah. Hey,
All right.
Gabagool, Thakandar.
Right.
That's right.
Right.
Gloop de glop glope.
Yeah.
All right. So
Eric's favorite moment.
My favorite moment was Hopper for the win.
Yes, and as I said, that's my sad moment. Wah, wah.
It's funny to love a character that we've spent like 4 chapters with. 30 chapters into the book.
Not even like he's so briefly.
Right.
It's such a good description. Well, go ahead.
Well, we love Hopper,
Yeah.
right? Because Hopper is the wolf that wanted
He's
to
a
fly.
little engine that could.
And he kept leaping and leaping and leaping until he became the wolf that could leap the highest, and it comes in handy in leaping against men who are mounted on horses.
These dumb.
The white
Dumb.
cloak.
He's heroic.
Right.
F's.
So we get to love this character, and then very, very quickly he dies. But he dies in heroic fashion, obviously. I mean, I don't know what Perrin is thinking. Perrin and Egwene are thinking. They just freeze. They're like deer in headlights.
Oh, it's just like
there.
anybody in a. Well, once again,
They got found so fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's Perrin discovers that the White Cloaks are searching in a pattern, like right when they're on top of him, as opposed he's seen them coming from miles away. But that's we'll get into that. We'll get into that in another segment. That's
I am not.
He just found out that he could see really well in the dark, and he's like, "Oh, let's go hide here." And then they get found by people who can't presumably see as
Supposedly?
Supposedly, yeah.
Going to Disney World.
Supposedly. All right. Let's move on to.
To your point about this.
Let's
like
not move
I am
on.
not the world. Yes, we're not going to. I'm not the world's most emotional person, but like that totally tugged at my heartstrings. Like when the description of how he dies and just the lance piercing. I was just like, oh
No,
Hopper's awesome.
Right before it, he just describes what he was as a pup.
I know. It's such good writing.
People, let me tell you about my best friend.
Right. Yeah. And then
He's
he dies.
gonna die.
Right.
All right.
Tough times in the wheel of time.
So now we can move on to a little Tinker talk. Tinker Tailor something spy.
Soldier.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
we both
It's a good
know.
book.
That was very good.
It was a
And
good
a
movie.
good movie.
Yeah.
And a
Jinx.
good friend.
Yeah.
All right. So we've heard a little bits of conversation about the Tinkers up to this point. They
Tinkers.
eat children.
Right.
They
steal the children.
They
They're the
turn
child
into
catcher.
wolves and bark at the moon. They have sharp, pointy fangs that they file down while smiling at you from across the street.
They're the child catcher.
Right.
Yeah,
yes.
but Mistress Luhan has a pot that she is just.
But they
real
make some
proud
good
of.
stuff,
And
yeah.
Master
Right.
Luhan is like,
right.
Ugh.
The guy who works with metal every day. She's like, "Hey, this pot I've got is way better than anything you ever made."
I wonder if that's like a different skill set though, because
It
he's
is. Yeah. No, it's fine metal crafting versus working
We
with
know this
giant
from
bars of
Karen
wrought
Wanderer.
iron.
From all the time I have spent on a forge, I can tell.
Yeah,
you
no, I know this
nothing.
from I know this from smithing as a team.
Right.
yeah, I'm more of a glass blower myself.
I'm
Yeah.
more of a potter.
That makes sense. So you definitely blow. So David's laughing hysterically. But I mean, you set that up, and I just
You hit that one out of the park. Yeah.
You're very proud of yourself.
That was really
David's
funny.
laughing really hard. So Adam, you felt like there was a lot to dig into here, so I've just handed you a plate of spaghetti, and now go eat it.
Oh, a nice spaghetti. Give me a nice spaghetti.
We got to the gabagool.
Well, I don't know where to start. So, actually, I will start with this, is that we find out that, first of all, these dogs come up to Elias, and then he's like just whistling in the wind.
The mastiffs.
No big deal. Yeah. So we find that. But
Oh,
then
right.
it's
Yeah.
just-
How he just totally he plays like the dog whisperer.
Yeah. But then we find out that he didn't really need to do that because there's this thing called the Way of the Leaf. And apparently the dogs also.
The dogs
follow
are mystically aligned with that. Yeah.
They have these giant mastiffs.
Which
are
coincidentally, for all
enormous
those readers
dogs
out there, are some of my favorite
that
dogs.
will never fight anything. They'll never fight anything. So we find out that this is what they follow, and then they're trying to find a song that was lost
It's fascinating.
3,000 years ago, apparently.
Yeah, I love how they talk about
Yeah.
I want to know more about the Age of Legends. Like we keep hearing all these
Yeah, me too.
fascinating things about the Age of Legends. Like I want a book about the Age of Legends.
Well, and the amazing thing is it's thousands of years ago.
Yeah.
3,000 years.
Yeah.
I mean, this is stuff that's older than.
That's before Jesus came.
Right.
This stuff is older than
building a mystery.
than the seven wonders of the world. I mean, it is ancient.
Older than Sarah
No,
McLachlan.
thank you. I was about to say, no one caught my Sarah McLachlan over there.
Unfortunately, I did. But yeah, so it's really, really, really old. We find that out about a bridge, but that's another thing.
Yeah.
So there's all this information that's brought up about them dealing with that. And then also, they just go into a story. Well, first of all, Elias just wanders up.
He's disgusted by these people.
But they know him.
They do.
So that's strange.
These people are fascinating.
It's very fascinating.
They would drive me
I don't know how they
up
work.
a wall, but...
Up a wall.
Yeah, they drive Perrin up a wall. He's like,
right.
Why? I haven't wrestled anybody for a long time.
If someone's going to punch me in the face, I'm going to stop them. Right. Yeah. I'm not going to sit there and be like, please punch me again. Thank you, sir. May I have another? Yeah.
Yeah. So he's dealing with that. And meanwhile, Egwene is just like,
she's like,
I'm gonna go dance.
I'm gonna go dance with Aram.
Yeah. Right.
So
appropriately named.
So
yeah.
So there's that, and then we. So
I think it's
offer
Aram,
conversation about that.
They pronounce it
but
differently.
there's a whole other big thing that takes place.
Yeah, these people are like the Tuatha are Tuatha. They're interesting.
Tuatha.
They're like
I
just wanted to do like a disturbed moment there. Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. They would drive me up on a wall, but they're so nice. They're so friendly. They're so inviting. They're so the antithesis of what we're hearing once again. The bigotry of the Emmons Fielders, or maybe it's everybody about the Tuatha. I don't know.
Yeah, they're treated as gypsies.
They're treated basically. As gypsies, right?
I don't know if that's the right.
No, I think you're absolutely
right.
correct.
That's absolutely.
They come and they steal your stuff. They come in and they kidnap your children, and we do. Elias does allude to that in terms of the conversation about them and how they're viewed by the townspeople or where they go visiting, and why they're outcasts. But we don't get that feel. Like, we just get the feel that they're just happy people. They're just traveling about, doing their thing.
Yeah. They're ostracized the way they are because they come into towns and every once in a while some person adopts their moral code and wanders off with them. And usually that's going to be some starry-eyed youth. So it's going to be somebody's teenager that wanders away from the town. And, of course, you're going to hate those people.
The what? Utes. The two Utes.
Yeah, sometimes two Utes, sometimes more.
Well, and I have a feeling they do go proclaiming their stuff, their ideology, which probably is not welcome, and they just kind of spout it out and about. But
I don't think they do. I think they keep doing it. They're a welcoming people. People come into their camp, and then over time they proselytize.
They may not do it verbally, but like with Perrin, how they keep staring at his axe. It's like that subtle, not so subtle. I'm going to stare at that thing that makes me uncomfortable, then stare at you.
I don't know that they're staring at him.
I'm going to stare at the fog.
I don't know that they're staring at him. I think they're very uncomfortable. Those people, the elders, are very uncomfortable with violence. I mean, I
don't know how these people survive.
That's
they wander. They stay on the move.
Well, yeah, but and so far,
bringing that up, we find out that they can cross the waste, which
people
are very impressed with.
Right, and that's a big thing.
So they can move into what we've seen at this point is the most violent section apparently of this world
and the most inhospitable.
And they can move about freely.
Yeah.
So they have very big talents, and I think one of their biggest ones is what Dave is talking about, the fact that they bring people in and they just show them a bunch of love, and it's like
they're friendly.
We don't have to worry about
Perrin does
definitely turn the other cheek.
Perrin does make the observation, though, that there's something hidden behind their eyes that's fear. He makes the analogy that they seem like deer, like a doe that is always ready to flee, and that while they seem incredibly open and unconcerned, that there's some sort of latent fear that lies within
There
them because
is
they know they're defenseless.
a deeper magic.
Which is interesting, yeah. So all that takes place, and then we hear a story about the Tuathawan crossing the waste.
Yeah, that
and
seems
then
like a big deal.
Running into something that's called the Maiden of the Spear. Apparently we find out that these people that live out there, their women can choose to fight,
Mm-hmm.
which, with everything that we've been shown...
Not unlike the Valkyrie of old.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
So this is coming.
Except these
This is
are
coming from them.
angels.
So then they have this
Be the
conversation. With,
angels?
What
yeah,
demon?
Rain is talking to Elias about this,
Yeah.
and
By the way, I love that guy's name.
Rain says, "When I saw you walking,
rain.
yeah, he says when I saw you walking into our camp, I thought perhaps we would find the answer at last to
The
him
song.
telling this story from this
No,
Aiel.
this
Oh,
mystical
yeah.
lady.
story.
Yeah.
that she says leaf biter means to blind the eye of the world.
It doesn't
Lost
sound
one.
good.
She calls them lost one. That's a whole other thing.
Well,
He means to slay the great serpent, warn the people, lost one. Sight burner comes. Tell them to stand ready for
Sight
he who
blinder,
comes with
yeah.
the dawn. Tell them. What on earth does any of that mean?
It obviously means something pretty important.
well, they identify that they are the people, and so it's
Right.
curious to them that
They don't
she's
like talking
telling
to
them,
the people.
Right, exactly.
and
They
identify
hate them
that
so
leaf
much.
biter is
Leaf blighter.
Leaf
Leaf
blighter.
blighter.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Is the dark one.
Yeah.
But the rest of it is, and we
And then
know
the
that the great serpent is time.
Yeah, because Elias says none of it makes any sense. The great serpent, slay the great serpent, kill time itself. Yeah.
That
So,
can't
yeah,
be
we
a
find
good
out-
thing.
And we also learn an interesting concept between the Aiel and the Tuatha-An. And
Yeah,
that
they
is
hate them. They call them lost
they
ones.
call them the lost ones. So obviously they
Yeah.
see themselves in stark contrast to the Tuatha-An, the Tinkers.
Yeah. Yeah, Rain brings up the fact. He's like, this is something more important to her than her own life.
So
And
that's
she's willing to tell us that.
right.
We cannot even understand it.
They're incredibly
So there's
bigoted
something going
against
on
them,
here.
and yet they're willing
Yeah.
to approach them.
Well, we
Yeah.
don't know if they're bigoted against them. They just don't like them. They might have a reason for not liking
No, they
them.
Well,
they
I
bring
mean-
up the fact that they're being called lost ones. So
Right. That we don't know enough of the history between those two to call
No,
out one
we
way or another
definitely
why
don't,
they don't
but
like.
we
They
know
might
that
they might have
they've-
been at war. Who knows? I mean, that'd be
Oh,
weird
sure.
from
Yeah.
people who don't believe in war.
The other interesting thing is that we're starting to the thing eye of the world is getting mentioned more and more frequently. We're getting the title
Right,
of
the
this
title of the
book
book. Yeah,
mentioned
yeah.
to us with greater frequency now. And
can I say something about that?
Yeah.
You will never serve the eye of the world, or it will
So
never serve you.
Perrin actually brings up after this. He's like the eye of the world.
Mhm.
He had been dreaming about that more than once, but he didn't want to think about them anymore. He didn't want to think about those dreams. So he's been aware of this, that this stuff has been
Yeah,
happening.
this is
So,
becoming a
we're
big
definitely-
deal.
Yeah, we're definitely going
In
into
quotes.
this eye of the world.
Big deal.
And it seems like it's an artifact. I mean, we talked about earlier that the people on the borderlands hunt the eye of the world like the people of Ilion hunt the horn.
Yeah.
So it seems to be some kind of relic or artifact.
The eye of the world
But
will
I
never
mean,
serve
what
you.
it does, or if it has any powers or anything like that, we don't know. The other thing that's really interesting to me is that the Tuatha-An, obviously are despised by the Aiel, and yet they can travel the Great Waste without getting interfered with.
Yeah.
How weird is
Yeah,
that?
it's really bizarre.
We really don't like you, but we're not going to do anything about it.
You know what it is? It's their pots. Their pots are that good.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, yeah, right.
Yeah, they last forever.
Yeah.
They're amazingly well mended,
Yeah,
these
exactly.
pots.
You don't even have to clean them.
They're Teflon coated.
What do you do?
So,
I make an
Merlin
amazing
and Sword
cup.
of the
Yeah.
Like,
And I don't know about anybody else. I kind of want to see this dance that's going on that's got Perrin like all googly eyed. I want to see
don't
the
even
dance.
bring that up.
Oh, I did.
Blushes. Yeah. All the girls get in. They're like, oh.
They're like, hello, boys.
Right.
Look at my dance.
Perrin acts like he's never seen a woman in his life.
Yeah. Well,
what?
yeah.
I'm just gonna go and hide behind this log here and not look at you.
I think Eric needs now to speak the rest of the night in that voice.
With this, Rand knows so much about ladies.
Right.
Yes, we're
Yeah.
catching this. We're catching this. This has
the most
happened a
overused
few
phrase
times.
in the book.
I think it's funny. I think it's funny
So,
between these
yeah.
guys. Apparently, these guys never talk to each other about girls. Because if they did, they would know each one of them has no clue what they're
This
doing.
is just Robert Jordan's view of teenage boys.
Well, it's probably pretty accurate.
Yes,
I mean,
yeah.
Sure.
They all have no clue. They're fumbling about in the dark, like they don't know what they're doing. And
All right,
That's so dumb.
so let's shapeshift to a little of Wolf and Man.
there it is. Back to the meaning. Back to the meaning of. I just want to do my best, James Hetfield. Life.
All right.
I got a little Chuck Billy on that one.
I can't remember what this segment is about.
Shapeshift.
Oh no.
It's your segment.
Oh no! It's the title is of Wolf and Man. It's obviously about Perrin and the wolves.
It's
Yes.
a dream.
Oh yeah.
Oh no!
Perrin's
That was my
dream.
Phoebe moment.
Probably.
Right
No, it's not Perrin's dream. No, we're gonna
Wolves
talk
and
about Perrin. Perrin's gotten a lot of development over these
my
last
level up of
3
last
chapters
week.
that we experience or that we learn about
Don't
him
bring
in.
that up.
Yeah, that's what.
Don't bring your level
Don't
up
say
from
who your
last
level
week.
up was.
Apparently,
That was my level up of last week.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah.
Perrin and the Wolves. It's
Perrin
He's-
continues to gain greater familiarity with his abilities. He's not comfortable with them. He's not getting more comfortable, but he's just like, yep, this is happening.
Not only that, he's like the cat's out of the bag, with the Egwene.
Yep, Egwene is like, oh,
She's like, you can do what?
Well,
actually communicate.
Elias forces him into that.
Yeah.
Because there's that moment when
A magic
when
moment.
they're waiting when Perrin knows that the crows are coming from the south and
The
approaching
ravens.
them from their rear
Ravens.
guard, and he and Elias knows too, and Elias simply won't communicate it out loud. He's going to force Perrin to do it, and the minute Perrin does it, it becomes apparent
Yeah.
A parent. Womp bum bum.
that obviously he's able to communicate with some, Egwene puts 2 and 2 together.
Yeah.
So yeah.
She's a smart one, that Egwene.
So, and the thing is this, like, he's really, really worried that it's going to drive some rift between them. But this just demonstrates, several of these characters don't have the ability to actually understand the people who they lived with all this long. Of any of the characters that are willing to accept somebody with a foreign ability.
Egwene should be the
Right.
one.
It's going to be Egwene.
The guy's just freaked out. I mean, he's legitimately freaked out. He's hearing wolf voices in his head. He's like seeing pictures of what they're seeing.
Kind of a
Imagine
big deal.
taking on that. You've lived your whole life in bumpkin, 2 rivers where nothing exciting happens except the wheat growing, and all of a sudden he can communicate with
sheep,
wolves.
Dave. There are
Yes.
some sheep.
There are some sheep. There are some fascinating sheep. And now he's communicating with wolves. And regardless of whether Egwene, and you're right, of all the people, Egwene should be the one that would get it. But like that's a huge
She's
admission.
Pretty caught up in her own good time.
Right. Well, her good time, which is not such a great time anymore.
Yeah.
And I like, admittedly, I would think it would be, once again, a difficult thing to be like, oh, by the way, this thing which everyone probably views as evil, I've got this. Like, this is a little ability that I have. It's a weird thing, but right, she should get it because she can do the stuff that everyone considers dirty Aes Sedai, as Nynaeve keeps babbling about.
Right.
Dirty Aes Sedai work.
Right.
But I don't think he's quite able to get out of his own head yet to
No.
see it from that perspective.
No. None of them seem to be able to, though. It's not just him.
Yeah.
Well, Matt is experiencing something entirely different, apparently.
Because
I liked that guy.
grumpy pants.
Yeah.
So we get that. So there's that revelation that occurs, and then we get a deeper and deeper sense of Perrin's
Deeper and deeper and deeper.
Smaller and smaller and smaller. That's our Faith No More moment. Sorry, we had to throw that in there.
His major driving character trait is to protect. He, as the largest boy in the village, he has a constant inner drive to protect those around him. It manifests itself first in his experience with the Tuatha On, because all he wants to do is leave because he knows he presents a danger to them. He gets frustrated with them because they won't protect themselves.
Look at Eric being insightful.
And then we experience it with Egwene, where he's constantly vigilant around her, and then he forces the decision upon himself.
Lots of vigilance.
Where we talked about already, where he figures, all right, am I going to mercy kill her if we get attacked by all of these crows?
We're seeing a bit of leadership from Perrin.
That's his form of leadership. It's a very, well, it's a masculine version of a motherly instinct, I think.
Yep.
That maternal instinct, sure.
But
how heartbreaking. So this goes back to my whole thing with Hopper. Like, he's just getting this ability. He's just learning to do all this stuff. And then whammo bammo, one of the ones he's identifying with gets killed right in front of him because of him.
Yeah, I don't know. Learning is an interesting word, because learning to me has an active aspect to it, and I don't feel like he's engaging in this at all. It's just sort of being, it's growing within him. And he's
a little petri dish.
Right, yeah. There's a malignancy that's growing within him that he doesn't have any control over, and it's just sort of happening.
But he is giving into it. He's succumbing to it.
He's using it.
I don't think he has any choice.
Right. Right. That's exactly it. It's developing. He's using it more and more because he doesn't have a choice, because they're in flight. I mean, they're in total flight mode. And then
he's apparently also in fight mode.
And yes, he is. And he also thinks that they're protecting his dreams. So this will segue nicely into our In Dreams segment. Adam, would you like to sing this for us?
I really want to hear it.
A candy man, I call the clown, they call the Sandman.
No, not the entire song, just the chorus. I don't. We don't have enough time. Can you just hit us with an In Dreams?
No.
All right.
No, I started it off.
That's fair enough. So.
And just before the dawn. Okay.
There you go.
That was
you're singing to your now-born son. That's beautiful.
I was doing that last night.
Fantastic.
So it's interesting because our first chapter 25, begins with him suspecting that the wolves have been protecting his dreams, because he mentions that since he's been with Elias, he has not had Baalzamon in a dream.
And Baalzamon mentioned something about that too.
And then this dream begins in a very different place. It doesn't begin in that strange castle that we assume is in Thakandar.
That we've always seen every time.
It begins in a familiar setting.
Castle in Spain.
Right. No one's going to get that reference, but thank you.
I stared perplexedly at my microphone.
Well, that's Babes in Toyland.
Now I got it.
He's in a familiar setting. He's in the Two Rivers, and he's really comfortable. Elsbeth Luhan is there making some food, and then there's the wolf, right? So there's the wolf, and
the pot.
He's right. She's using the tinker pot, and she's thunking her husband over the head.
She's like, man, this thing is fantastic.
Can you make me a good pot?
You see?
Yeah.
Don't you see?
It's all coming around full circle.
And the wolf's there, and he's comfortable with the wolf being there because we know that he's used to a wolf appearing in his dreams at this point.
Yep.
But then, bum bum bum, Baalzamon shows up in the doorway. Like the Trolloc shows up, it Rand's.
Hey!
Baalzamon shows up, sticks his leg in through the door, and goes, "Hey!
What's up, sailors? I'm here." Yeah, it's Baalzamon. He busts in. Yeah,
it's me. I've come to show you a good time.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, wolves! I've dealt with these before."
Yeah. And then he treats the wolf the way he treats the rat. and these wolves that Perrin has thought has been protecting his dreams, just like gets his back broken and it gets lit on fire.
But I think that's cool. I think it's cool that it gives us more insight to, especially so
people have been trying.
Well, you look at the end of...
You would think it's cool. Your favorite moment is when Perrin almost kills Egwene with an axe.
think about this. So we're the end of the books that we're reading, the chapters that we're reading. Geofram Bornhald is talking about how the majority of the world perceives the wolves, or he and the White Cloaks perceive the wolves as instruments of evil. And here we're specifically seeing in the dream that the wolves are diametrically opposed, and it's backed up not just for people who can communicate with the wolves, but Balsamon himself knows that the wolves are against him. So it's further proof that the wolves are agents of good. And I think that's a cool moment that could otherwise pass you by, because the rest of the world is kind of like, oh, those dirty wolves, but the wolves are obviously an agent of good.
Yeah. But if I could dispatch of wolves like snap, boom,
we're not all,
then I wouldn't be too worried about them.
Yeah.
But it does fly in the face of
Flume.
Flume.
It does fly in the face of the White Cloak belief that the wolves are dark friends. Mm. So let's talk. Let's do a little Cloak and Dagger here and talk about the White Cloaks.
Jack Flack from Cloak and Dagger.
Jack Smack could eat no flack.
Yeah.
So we've had a little experience with the White Cloaks before. They specifically Rand.
Buyer.
And interestingly enough, Rand has had an experience with a Bornhald before.
Yes, good point. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I forgot about that. Mm-hmm. Dane Bornhald.
Yes, well, we didn't know his name was Dane. We can only assume because this Bornhald is so different from the other one it's that, and we do know that
the other one was younger.
Well, and we do learn that that Geofram has a son whose name is Dane, so we can only assume that was Dane.
Yeah, good point.
You don't like the name Geofram? Yeah.
I remember when I was growing up,
you're anti-Joffrey.
The first Jeff that I met was spelled Geoff.
Joffrey!
And it's like Geofram, Jeff, spelled with a G, and I could never get my head around how Jeff was spelled Geoff.
Well, his name very well could be Geofram, actually. Yeah. So Perrin and Egwene, are in flight from them. Perrin at the last moment realizes that he's put themselves in a spot where it's too late to flee, and now he's just going to have to walk out into the firelight and reveal himself.
Coincidentally, what is Cloak and Dagger about? Our segment.
White Cloaks.
Oh,
the White Cloaks.
I'm a little slow. Okay.
And coincidentally, what are we talking about?
Hey, we never made that clear before.
What's happening?
Am I coming in clear? Yeah.
Yeah. They got some shiny
breast.
How are they washing their clothes all the time?
That's a good question.
Well, they
travel on horses.
They have a giant supply chain all the way back to where they're from.
They're using Oracle supply chain. Yeah.
All the way back in, I almost said Arafel. They're out of Amadicia. We don't know that yet, but that's where they're
all
from.
These just wagons following them.
It's a giant It's a giant umbilical wagon train.
Yeah.
So they capture Perrin and Egwene, and we get really, really interesting experience here with Geofram.
Well, yes. Like, what do you think about this guy? I feel like he's really interesting. Like, I don't get the sense from this guy as opposed to Buyer, who Buyer is just, he's a zealot. Like, he's a full-on subscribe to the letter of the law. I'm going to do it. I have no passion about anything other than...
he's all passion.
Well, I have no passion about anything other than
right. I get
doing what I think is right.
He's black and white.
But Geofram is...
He's a pragmatist. He's a little bit of a pragmatist.
He's really interesting because it's like he almost feels... He seems to feel bad for these people because he wants them to do what he thinks is the right thing. And he's not a jerk about it. He's just, believes in what he believes in, and unfortunately, if you don't believe in what he believes in, you're pretty much screwed. But he's interesting. He gives them chances to try to save themselves, quote unquote.
Giblet.
Right, getting from the gibbet. Yeah. See, he's really interesting. Like he's not like the other. He's not like his counterpart, who's hot tempered and just wants to do away with everybody. Yeah. He's like that grandfatherly.
There are cues that could be.
Yeah, he's an interesting one.
Yeah, he does seem interesting. I do think though that he seems like a little bit of a sociopath, that he doesn't actually have emotions. I know that you're under. Like,
wait, are you talking about Geofram Bornhald, or are you talking about
Bayer, child
I'm
Bayer.
talking about
Jared Bayer?
Bornhald, yeah. No, Bayer is just a live wire. That guy's just he doesn't. All he cares about apparently is
them
proving himself with what he believes in. And then this other one is just.
I don't know about the sociopath.
Yeah, I completely disagree with your sociopathic take.
Yeah,
okay.
I just think he
why?
Because I believe
just a man
if he was because he's giving them the opportunity to.
What opportunity?
We can hear you pouring.
If he was just a sociopath,
good.
He wouldn't care what happened with these people because he would operate by his own code and not allow for the possibility of some explanation of what was going on. It wouldn't matter to him whatsoever. He allows them, however, the chance to try to dig themselves out of the pit that he sees them in. Now, in his opinion, what ends up happening is they dig deeper.
To do that, there's no way that they could have given any explanation of what they were doing that would not dig them into the ground.
Oh, I disagree. I disagree.
What do you think they could have said?
So, first of all, he does not make decisions. What we discover about him through this conversation is that he does not make decisions before he has facts. So
sure, but we do know the fact that if you are involved with the Aes Sedai, then you're
damned
automatically
already.
a Dark One.
So let's take the conversation from the top. So first of all, he asks Bayar what has happened, and Bayar gives him this inflated account
ridiculous
of
story.
the number of
There were 20 men.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. He gives him this ridiculous account of and it's not ridiculous. I mean, because Bayar has no. We don't know enough about Bayar that he's going to lie.
But Bornhald points out that he hasn't had many excursions.
Right. So he gives this inflated account for whatever the reason of the number of wolves and men that attacked them.
Shapeshift.
First of all. And right. And Bornhald completely dismisses it.
Right.
Based on experience.
I think it's interesting that Bayar,
Yeah.
because of his limited knowledge, his only possible conception of what has happened is these giant numbers. It's the only way this could possibly happen. And Bornhald's like, no.
Well, right. So obviously Jared Bayar is a little naive, battle
Naive?
and right.
He's a little naive.
But Bornhald is not. And we know he's not because he accurately describes how many people roughly were involved.
Yeah.
So
I have a question.
Yeah.
Oh, you're going step by step though, right, Eric?
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
all right.
So
continue.
I feel like we glean from that this guy has some experience because yes, it would be. And not just experience, but some insight. It would be really easy for all of them to buy into the idea that they were attacked by this massive group, and that's why they suffered such great losses. Like that would feed really easily into a convenient narrative for them. But he doesn't buy it. He says, "No, you know what? This was probably a small group that did it."
Yeah.
And here we have
the know-how.
Here we have probably a pretty good sample of the size of whatever the party was, and here I have in front of me two country dressed kids.
Yeah.
And I want to hear what they have to say. He does not make any conclusions about them before they speak.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean you're right, Adam. If they say certain things, such as, and he points that out, they're associated with the Aes Sedai or warders, or they know Shadar Logoth, or all these types of things, you're screwed. Because
Right.
he has his very
Well, they
fixed,
didn't know that. They said it.
right. He didn't. Yeah, he has this very fixed. But if they had said something else,
If they would have named it the
right,
original name,
right, Arid Hall or whatever,
or if they had
said something else in general.
Simply said,
I'm wandering around the Camelin Road and I
right.
got lost and kidnapped by pirates. Then he would have been okay.
kidnapped by pirates is good.
Murdered by pirates is good. Exactly. If they had done any of those other things and he allowed them that opportunity, a sociopath, it wouldn't have mattered.
No, I disagree. I think that he held the upper hand, and I don't think that he actually ever allowed them a chance to get out of it. I think that it feels, in my mind, like he kind of revels in this. I might be proven wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I will allow there is an element to what you say that it seems like they were doomed to begin with, but I think he does give them a chance.
They are doomed. They are doomed because they are aligned. They are doomed for two reasons.
Well,
first of all, because parents killed two of them,
which he doesn't even know.
So there's no way.
Well, yeah, he doesn't know that. That's my question.
But that doesn't matter. He's done it. So there's no way of him wriggling out of that.
Because we don't know that.
But Bornhald does.
Yeah, but that's my question is. So Bornhald
they're
brings
doomed.
Up at the
The
end
second
of it,
reason that they're doomed is because
why are you walking over this? This is a big deal.
Because we can come back to it. I said there were two reasons, and I want to elaborate or not elaborate, but just enunciate the second one. The second reason is that Egwene is going to study to be an Aes Sedai.
Oh yeah. 100%.
So they are doomed from the outset. But if they weren't either of those things, if he hadn't killed two people, and if she wasn't going to study to be an Aes Sedai, then
they could have had a chance.
I have faith that Bornhald would have let them go.
Yeah, he's. I believe he is also
like
a black and white.
Sure, that's fine. If you believe in my ideology of how I have people fall into the world, then I'm going to let you go. Sure, fine. But that doesn't mean he's not a psycho. He's a psycho. He's adhering to these laws.
So you're saying he's psychotic because of his ideology.
Because of what he believes.
What I'm saying is he's psychotic because he seems like he understands that there might be a logical outside to this, but he has stepped his foot so far into this that he's just like, no, I'm just going to follow this because that's what I'm following. That's true psycho. If you understand the fact that this might not be right, but I'm going to do it, that's what it seems like to me. He's just fully going for it.
Okay.
Because it's the cards he's been given.
We all agree on we know what his ideology is, but interestingly, he's a see, what you're describing is Jared Bayar. And he is there, and Jared Bayar is in that room to be a contrast to him.
Yes.
He is there to show that this is a zealot, that this man is a zealot, this is what a zealot looks like, and this other guy is a pragmatist. He still adheres to the rules.
Who's the one that's more scary, though? Someone that actually understands what's going on and decides to go with it, or someone that doesn't? That's all I'm
Probably
saying.
the only person that can determine that is the person in the room who has to confront both these people. And personally, I would rather deal with a Bornhald than I would rather deal with a Bayar, because a Bayar is going to kill you.
Would not. Bayar, you can just fight against. And
if you get a chance to fight when you're chained up when you're tied up with ropes. With Bornhald, at least you get a chance to talk. Bayar, he's going to kill you and be done with it. I
just feel like with Bornhald, there was no opportunity for them to ever get out of this. So their chance to talk is just delaying the inevitable.
As opposed to Bayar, who would have
just killed them, sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
But Perrin is obviously going to get killed. He's like, oh, by the way, you killed.
Right. And that's a big drop.
This isn't about
You killed two of our people, and he didn't know.
He didn't know. Yeah.
People. We don't know that. All of a sudden, he brings this up.
It's a great reveal. It's a great reveal at the end of the chapter, and we don't know that. But in retrospect,
we're back to our dun 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 moment at the end of chapters.
In reflection, that whole conversation is not about Perrin. It's about Egwene. And what Egwene reveals through the conversation is that they're with Aes Sedai, that they're withholding information about how much time they've spent with Aes Sedai, because obviously they learned a lot from a warder, and they didn't divulge all the truth about the warder. So, I mean, if that's...
Oh, by the way, you ran into a warder?
Right. Yeah. They got left out in the story.
That's there's just no coming back from that with Children of the Light. I mean, that's what we've kind of gleaned from our experience with them is that's a point of no return.
Yeah,
it doesn't seem like there's any point of return from what we've gone in with them.
Return.
Oh yeah,
they seem like they're coming in guns blazing anytime that we've ever seen.
That's where I just completely disagree with you. I think that's who Jarrett Bayar is. I don't think that's who Geofram Bornhald is.
I'm saying anytime that we've run across them,
all guns blazing.
To this point, other than him, sure, yeah, he's the one that's asking him questions. Fine, he's allowing.
We're just going to go round robin with this one. We're just going to have to agree to disagree on this one and keep moving along because we're just
Sure.
So next we come to who the Coplin of the week is. So
I'm the odd man out.
So who is your Coplin of the week?
I just want to let you all know that my Willow was shook this week.
That's
I'm
sounds
glad
like
a
to
personal
hear
statement.
Good for you. We all stand up and applaud you.
Mm-hmm.
Yay!
I literally
and
stood
there was
up and
great
applauded.
rejoicing. So who is your Coplin of the week?
Oh,
Cop it up,
Dave.
Mine. Oh gosh, does it have to be a major character, or can it just be somebody?
No, it doesn't have to be a major character.
Okay,
very minor character.
Okay, so my Coplin of the week is going to be that. No, I'm still going with Nynaeve. I can't help it.
What? Really?
Yeah, because she's so annoying in that conversation with Moraine. Like, she just, oh my gosh, every time, I really hope they change his character, because right now, every time Nynaeve enters the scene, I want to, I throw her off the boat. She's so annoying.
But she is accepting.
Baby,
the fact that she has this latent power in her now that she can't deny, and she even starts.
I don't know that she's accepting it.
She even starts to now toy with the idea of going to Tar Valon.
But the only
just
reason
to prove a point,
right? The only reason she wants to go to Tar Valon is to get back at Moraine. That's it.
Yeah, well, we all rationalize the inevitable for a number of different reasons.
Yeah, but her rationalization of the inevitable is based on bigotry.
Spite. It's based on spite.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So that's not something I like.
And
it's not only something I don't like, it's really annoying to me, which is why she's really annoying, and I really hope they do something with this character, because she's got no redemptive value.
But just a couple of chapters ago, she wasn't even going to go to Tar Valon. Like, that was not no-go. And she was going to take Egwene back, and now she's talking about going to Tar Valon. Oh, but it's only so that I can learn.
Yeah, and you're right. Maybe we're seeing hopefully some sort of worth to this character, because right now we don't have any.
I'm in agreement with you that I think she's rationalizing here. I think she's doing things I think she realizes she has to go. She has this thing inside her that could kill her. She has to go there. Part of her probably wants to go there, but that's totally against her entire belief system. So she's rationalizing it through this hatred of this woman, but that hatred is still very real.
Yeah,
like that's
it's real
totally
based
there.
on nothing.
So that's a disgusting reason to really do anything.
Yeah,
I don't understand her hatred of her, honestly.
Yeah, well, it's Emmett's bigotry. And there's
the bigotry
a little bit of
the power
competition
struggle,
here.
right? The power struggle, the competition. This is once again, Moraine has power and control and/or oversight over people she always, up to this point, had seen as her own.
Well, right.
So someone else has got that now.
She's like really into land.
I mean, was there any?
Yeah, we're getting that.
Well, was there any doubt, first of all, that Nynaeve ran the two rivers?
No.
That women's circle seemed to, and she was the head of it, right? And so there's that, and then they're opposite personalities. Nynaeve is a hothead,
yes,
and Moiraine is completely composed,
except for that one moment,
right?
That one moment, which I thought was great, where she gives Nynaeve, that look.
That's sort of the exception that defines the rule.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's my annoying.
But then,
that's my Coplin.
Nynaeve's attraction to Lan is
it's coming out.
Is completely.
She's got. There's a thing. She's got a thing.
Lan just seems oblivious to everything.
Well, Land's really, really.
We haven't got
focused.
much. We didn't get much of Land this week, so
spotting sweet swords.
and the fact that Nynaeve can track him. Yeah.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
who's your Coplin
All right,
of the
Eric?
week, Adam?
Mine is Gelb.
Yes,
Gelb?
that's who I was going to go with, but I went with
The
Nynaeve instead.
Gelbin.
The Gelb.
I'm glad you covered that because he annoyed me too.
Oh, he's just wringing his hands about it.
He's
That
greasy.
guy's no good. I love the fact that they just come like Rand and Matt. Yeah, they're just trying to find any inn possible, and then they just end up with Gil.
I like that Bail Dolman calls him out. He totally calls him out.
Yeah.
Yes.
He do be
calling him out.
do be calling him out. I mean, Bail Dolman has a pirate accent. If anybody in this book does. So Gelb.
All the wonders of the world.
Gelb.
Gelb and his stupid.
Gelb is the one who's quote unquote standing watch when Matt and Rand and Tom leap onto the spray.
AKA sleeping on the job.
Right. Yes. Right. AKA taking a quick little snooze.
Yeah.
And then just reacts the wrong way entirely.
Well, I mean, it's the right way for him, which is, hey, I wasn't asleep on the job. These guys decided to lead a bunch of Trollocs onto our ship. It's not my fault. It's their fault.
Right.
Yeah, he does not say, it was me.
Right,
No.
right. He does not take responsibility, which, I mean, and apparently this isn't the first time it's happened either, so there's that.
He just gets called out.
Right, so he gets called out, and then he walks off the ship. He gets kicked off the ship, and then he sulks. He goes and sulks and bad mouths, and Tom sees it coming,
And then
right?
just shows up. Yeah, exactly. Don't trust that guy.
Right. Well, Tom doesn't say don't trust that guy. Tom says that guy's going to cause trouble for us in this town.
Look out for that guy.
Right. He's going to cause problems, and sure enough,
Tom is a knowing man. He's knowing.
He's in the know.
yeah, we're beginning to discover Tom is incredibly worldly.
Now we don't know where Tom is at all. Tom might not even be in this world.
Right.
I think Tom might be dead.
Yeah. That would suck.
So we've got
I like him.
we've
Tom
got
Bombadil.
Gelb and Nynaeve and to perfect
Is that
what?
that's the token in the bedroom?
That's
token
right.
in the
Tolkien in the
Tolkien in
boys'
the
room.
boys' room just reared its
We
ugly head.
got a couple of things for Tolkien in the boys' room, and that actually segues really nicely into my Coplin of the week. Well, yeah, because obviously Matt is wearing the ring.
Right.
Yeah, what's going on with Matt?
He is becoming corrupted. He is becoming Frodo. He is getting suspicious of Sam, aka Rand.
Yeah.
And we don't even necessarily quite know why. Yeah. Hamina.
Jibbity jibbity.
We just know something's going on with him. He's
loving him
trust
some
the sword.
dagger.
he's got the dagger, but we don't know
See,
what that is. We don't know what's going on. We don't know why he's so
Well,
recalcitrant.
we know two things.
well,
They were told
We know
not
it's
to
like a
take
little boy
anything
discovering
from
Right.
little old.
I'm just trying not
Mordeith.
to suppose anything.
They were told not to take anything from Mordeith. He took
They
the
were told not to
dagger.
accept any
Yeah,
gifts
he's
from
Right,
Mordeith.
well,
like,
that's
I
that's the
didn't-
equivocation
he
that
didn't
Matt
give it to
makes.
me.
Right, he didn't give
he
it to
didn't
me.
give it to me. It was no big deal.
I just took it.
He didn't hand it to me.
Right.
Nudge, nudge.
It's real pretty though.
But he is
I'm
not
loving it.
he is not doing well.
He's caressing it in the corner.
Something's up with
Like
it.
while
Something's
nobody's
up with
looking,
it.
he's like, "I love you. You do be my favorite dagger."
He's
Not
now
only
Bail
that, he's
Dolman,
like-
apparently.
When Tom is talking about going on the boat, he's like, maybe we should just leave here and go back on the boat. Matt just like explodes. He's like, why? And he's grabbing the dagger. That's
It's
really
like that Bilbo transformation moment in
Oh,
the
right,
Return of
yeah.
the King, which scares my
Right, the
daughters out
special-
of their
Well,
minds.
it scared everybody out of their minds.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's becoming really covetous of treasure. Last week, when they were taking the ship down the river, there was a mention of that there was treasure
As
in that
opposed to a
steel
van.
tower.
There's treasure
And Matt wanted to stop and go find the treasure, and thought Bail Domon didn't want to stop because he just wanted to keep the treasure for himself. He's also really willing to just accept the fact that, hey, everyone else is dead, so
Right.
we can just give up on this quest.
He's in a bad place.
Yeah, he's really willing to do that. That's really weird.
Yeah, he's been willing to accept that a couple of times. He writes off Tom too easily for Rand's comfort. So I say, screw you, Matron Couthen. You're my Coplin of the week.
Okay.
You know, I was
sense.
also gonna go with the annoying hotel proprietor.
Yeah.
Because that guy just bothered me. But good calls, boys.
Yeah,
on
but
all
he's
the
not
above.
he's not quick enough on the uptake to discover that the three people that
Right.
that are being discussed.
Oh, I think he knows. Well, it's one of those.
The
I think he
three
knows,
dark
but he's
friends
probably
are
also
there in
a
his
slight coward.
Yeah, he's in and out. So who leveled up?
There was
Yep.
a Pac-Man.
It's my favorite bird
song. I am
Bam, bam.
going with Perrin. I'm going with Perrin.
Okay.
Oh,
My Perrin 2 weeks in a row, because his insight with the wolves was helpful. It helped save them from some disaster, though. I mean, ultimately not as much as they would have hoped. But he's developing his skills. He is now using them reluctantly, or because they're being forced upon him. But yeah, I'm going with Perrin.
Okay.
I mean, for me, Tom levels up this week.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He,
maybe dead.
I mean, he steps up big time.
Sure.
Yep.
He think about all of the time that he invests into Matt and Rand, and these are really two.
And you know he wants
two
to
guys.
smack Matt.
He doesn't, right? Yeah, these are really two guys he doesn't know. We learn that he's doing this all out of a sense of ultimately a sense of guilt for what he couldn't do for his cousin.
Or obligation. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't use guilt as
Nephew.
that's not a judgment. Nephew, thank you. He has this sense that he needs to repay something that he didn't accomplish in his past, and I mean, just he was a bit of a dubious character early on. You know, you weren't sure what his motives were, and he could have ended up being somebody who was problematic. But you don't go and take down a Murdral if you're not one of the good guys, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, yeah, sure. You don't go fight one. Yeah, definitely.
So, I really, really grew to like Tom over these last, I would say, probably 12 chapters.
I really hope he's not gone.
And now he might be dead.
Yeah, that would suck.
Yeah, he might be dead.
So, who knows? We don't know if this is Game of Thrones yet or not.
Don't
Yeah,
even get
maybe
me
it's Game
started.
of Thrones before Game of Thrones. Who knows?
Right.
Don't even get me started.
So my leveling up of the week goes with the dark powers, and the fact that we just find out that ravens are just up to no good.
So you're leveling up the Ravens?
You're leveling up the enemy.
I'm leveling up the enemy. Yeah,
All right.
because they're attacking. Why on earth are they attacking innocent foxes?
The poor fox.
Well,
What did that fox do?
Swamp fox. Tail in his hat.
Well, it
What
wasn't
did it
just
do?
the one fox. It was
No.
several foxes, a couple of rabbits,
Yeah,
and we learned that
And a partridge in a pear tree.
yeah, three
they're
silver
just
bells.
Beating up some. They're just beating up some
Well,
pretty nature.
Right,
Yeah.
they just kill where they can.
They are just
and when
evil.
they can. But they're also attacking the wolves, and they have a purpose, and that purpose overrides just their attack mentality, because they're attacking the wolves, and then they get up and leave because they're on a mission. They're searching.
Yeah, well, it's like another token in the boys' room. It's what
Oh, look.
happens in Lord
A
of the
drifter.
Rings as well.
Let's kill him.
A drifter. Yeah, so it's really bizarre. That's really scary
Yeah.
because, like you brought up before, Dave, his parent is just like, oh, we're gonna die by bird attack.
Oh my gosh, it's Alfred Hitchcock. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the birds. They're just gonna come peck everything out of us.
What a
That'd be
miserable
such a
way
bad
to
way
go.
to die.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so this is just at the power of the Dark One. They're just gathering messages and destroying things. No good.
No good.
Perrin, Egwene, and then Elias just are running away from these birds, and then they enter this strange area
The setting.
where Egwene says, "It's strange. I feel as if I've lost something."
Right.
And then Elias goes on to say, "Oh yeah, this is a place that you can't touch the one source."
This is like these
Talking
series of
about
chapters
aesthetic.
is like a oh by the way moment.
Yeah, what is that? Yeah, so that's crazy.
Right. So
Yeah.
it's
He goes
the
into-
Ogier steading.
Yeah. So
they're in.
yeah. So and then they go into this history of Archer Hawkwing and the fact that that's the hand that they were hiding in, and then the history behind that.
We're getting fascinating chunks of history here from the Age of Legends, which once again I want to talk about.
No, this wasn't a little nugget; it's a big thing because.
Well, right,
it's a giant turd.
Ew.
No, I don't think it's a turd. I think it's actually
it's a steaming hot turd.
Maybe you like turds. I don't know, but at this point,
like
it's kind of like the. But you're right. It is a big moment because it's the thing that saves them, and then not so much.
Yeah. Well, no, but
out of the frying pan into the fire.
Yeah.
But
Tolkien in the boys' room.
Okay, this is the last thing I'll say. This Hawkwing.
I don't believe that for a moment.
Thank heavens! I'm so tired of you talking.
Well, stop it. No, this Hawkwing apparently just like united the entire world.
The whole shebang. Yeah.
The whole shebang, but still had an issue with Aes Sedai and the power.
And then he
offered 1,000 gold crowns to anyone that would bring like the head of an Aes Sedai. So that's really weird.
It is really weird. And then he kicked it, and then the whole world ended up in turmoil. But some of his people left.
Is that weird? I mean, we've seen that this world is riddled with people who don't like Aes Sedai.
Yeah.
Why is that strange?
The reason I think it's weird is, well, okay. Sure.
Interesting. And
everybody's turned against them.
Everyone's turned against them.
Jewish folk.
People are trying to kill them. There's crowns of gold over their heads, and yet they survive. Despite all that, they're like the cockroaches.
Powers.
Despite all that, they're still around. They're still powerful, and they still last.
I don't think they're cockroaches. They
seem
to be puppet masters.
For what everyone is describing them as, they're gross, disgusting things with filthy plots, and everyone hates them, and they're hideous.
We've been in a couple of towns where they've been accepted, and
what is interesting is that we don't know a lot about them.
All we know about them is like the bad things, except well, no, yeah. I'm gonna recategorize that. All we know about them is the bad things, except for what we keep seeing happening, with the exception of the manipulation conversation we had. But Moiraine has proven herself mostly, let's say 90%, to be a woman of action who has defended the kids, maybe for her own reasons. But she's not exemplifying a lot of what they're described to be.
So
that's one person.
I'm glad we're discussing this because this week Moiraine actually does something that rises above anything that she's done up to this point. So she, Lan, and Nynaeve come into Whitebridge, and Tom and Bael Domon and Matt and Rand have left. And the place is
shambles.
In flames. Right. It's not in flames any longer. It's had a lot of fire damage. There's a lot of question as to exactly what's happened. There's a lot of rumor going around, but Moiraine does two things. She comes in and Nynaeve observes her as acting incredibly unselfishly. I think this is probably the most redeeming moment that she has had thus far.
What? Okay.
She is... there's an ulterior motive. She's obviously fact-finding. She's gathering information. She needs to make these people comfortable around her in order to learn what they have to say, because obviously that's the other thing we've learned about this world is these people who... Well, everybody, but especially in the towns, people are really suspicious.
You don't think that she did that in the Two Rivers?
That's because secret, they've got a secret.
Yeah.
She did that in the Two Rivers, but at that time we didn't know that she was an Aes Sedai when she was doing it. So now we understand who she is. Yeah. We have a history of actually witnessing her doing things that are in defense of our heroes, but still are arguably,
motive. There's a motive.
Damaging to semi-innocent or even non-innocent bystanders of the story. This is a very heroic. I feel like this is a really, it's not heroic, but it is a moment of compassion, of a lot of compassion, which we haven't seen from an Aes Sedai, I don't think, up to this point. And it's coming from Nynaeve, okay? Somebody who obviously has a reason to not view this as being compassionate, and yet even she has to understand it as that. Yeah. So Moiraine has a great leveling up moment here as well.
So is she your level up?
Okay. No, she's not. I mean, my
She's
level
the
up
3.1
was Tom.
level up.
But I'm glad you brought that
Tom.
up because she does
right,
have a great moment, and we wouldn't have been able to discuss that if you hadn't mentioned this. So we're going to
Wait,
be.
I also have a question about the power.
Okay.
So there's this one power, obviously you can get shut off in this setting, which is strange. But also, rain seems to have some sort of power or something.
When he's staring
You
up
can,
at the sky,
study
he can-
weather.
Well, I think maybe is that
and
like
see
Nynaeve?
that something bad's going to happen?
I think
Yeah.
so. We reference we being Robert Jordan, who is not me or us. So he references
He's all
the wisdoms have an ability to do that.
To
So-
do what?
To read the weather, read the wind, all that kind of thing.
Right.
All the colors of
right,
the
but
wind.
this was a tinker. This was rain that could
Well,
do
my
that,
point
so-
is,
Wait. When does Rain read the weather?
Rain is staring up at the sky, and he's trying to. He when they part, right before they
Right.
part ways, Rain
Yeah.
is looking up into the clouds, and he's deducing something what's going on. He has Adam's right.
He's like,
He says some particular
we
comment.
might want to turn around.
Right. He says something, and he's reading whatever's going on. I wonder, Adam, if that is not just a power thing, but if it's like okay,
I
my
don't know.
joints hurt because I've
It
had
could be.
tendinitis,
It could be.
and one of those types of
Yeah, it
things.
definitely could be.
Yeah.
He was
Because
in- he was-
we've
he was
talked
in
about the
Nam.
wisdoms. Other wisdoms may or may not have
Yeah.
the power, but they have the ability to read the wind. So I wonder if that's that type of thing.
Well, but what we also know is the only
name of the
wisdoms
wind.
who actually can read the wind are those that can channel.
We
that
don't
can
know
tap
that.
into.
We don't know that per se.
Well, Rain suggests as much.
She said that.
She says it about
knows
Nynaeve,
that. Anyhow,
Yeah, but yeah,
so
fascinating stuff.
I think that's interesting.
Rich and compelling.
So now it's time to bid happy trails
Yes.
to two of our characters here. So
One potentially, one definitely.
right, definitely happy trails to Hopper.
Hopper.
May we meet you in some other life.
I hope you're flying
Yes, fly
high
high
and flying free.
in heaven, and we don't know what's going on with Tom, but I mean, it ostensibly he went to meet his doom. I mean,
I don't know why you're saying one more definitely than the other.
Well,
I
Well,
guess
'cause
that we
Hopper's
saw the dead
dead.
Body of one.
we know Hopper's dead. We
don't know Tom's
Tom
fate.
went
True.
to his
It's
death.
true.
We know Tom went
Yeah,
to accept
right.
his death.
Right.
We have no
but
dead
we don't
body.
have evidence of. We don't have evidence.
We don't have a
of it yet.
skinned wolf.
It might happen in the next chapter, but
And how horrible for Perrin. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
This is terrible. He's coming to grips with his powers. The thing dies and then finds out, oh, once again, by the way, we skinned him.
yeah. And then that's another thing on, a plus for Bornhald is he's like, no, I don't want your disgusting wolf rug.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
no, you don't just skin animals and then throw them on my floor. Like that's get
I
away
don't know
from
why
me.
you're
What's
giving
wrong
any
with you?
pluses to this guy. I do not trust him.
Oh, I don't trust him either, but
So,
yeah. Maybe he'll keep going round robin.
so
on
we-
that
Can
one.
I give a shout out?
Give a shout out.
The White Bridge. That was described a lot.
Yeah. I want to see that place. Like, it's so cool
Yeah.
sounding.
Yeah.
Apparently, that's another thing from the Age of Legends.
Right, see?
Right.
The Age of Legends coming back around
Everybody
again.
kept
It's
coming
coming back
across it,
around
and they were
again.
Like,
Yeah.
what? How could somebody walk across that? Looks like it was made.
Yeah, and how he was
It's only the country people that are amazed. by
Dolman
it.
describes as the fact that
Well,
when it rains, it doesn't get slippery. Like, I want that on my shoes.
Right. Yeah.
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 Okay. So next week we will do chapter 31 through chapter 36. So join us next time on the Jack of the Shadows podcast.
Goodbye,
good
Tom
night.
Bombadil.
Yes. Tom Bombadil says we're out.